Hi, my name is Robbin Miller. I'm the host of MillerChat. This is my first show for 2019.
Oh, wow.
In a few months, I'll be on 20 years.
Wow.
I'm going to bring out the cake and the balloons.
Yes.
For that one. So my guest today is Paula Denoncourt. I will be discussing cyberbullying for the first part of the show, and Paula will be discussing human trafficking.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we will begin. I'm going to talk about cyberbullying because it is a growing and concerning issue around the country and around the world. And I'm going to read you a definition by Doctors Honula, H-I-D-U-G-A, and Patchin, P-A-C-T-H-I-N, PhD from the Cyberbullying Research Center. They define cyberbullying as someone who repeatedly and intentionally harasses, mistreats, or makes fun of another person online or while using a cell phone or electronic devices. Bullying, which is a form of this, a repeated action where you intentionally harass, mistreat, and make fun of, you could do that verbally, you could do that sexually, you could do that physically. But in this case, cyberbullying is done through electronic means. In 2016, this center conducted a survey of a nationally representative sample of 5,707 youth, ages 12 to 17, which is about middle school, high school, in the United States. They found the data and published this research study titled Cyberbullying Victimization that I will share with you. 34% of this sample reported that they have experienced cyberbullying during their lifetime. In the time span of more than 30 days, 16.9% stated that he or she had been bullied. What types of cyberbullying are they experienced? The research asked. 22.5% said they experienced mean or hurtful comments, and you can use your imagination what was possibly said. 20.1% were threatened to have rumors spread about them that were not true online. 25.7% experienced more one time in a 30-day period more than once. So two or three times in a day that they experienced cyberbullying. Furthermore, in terms of the social media platforms, what do you think is the top media platform for cyberbullying?
For kids, I'm going to say Snapchat.
Actually, Facebook was number one.
Facebook is number one, okay. I didn't know if they were getting away from it.
Snapchat's number 3, and you know what number 2 is?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to use Instagram. What do I know?
Yeah.
How can teens respond to being cyberbullied? Doctors Honula and Patchin offer the top 10 tips, and I'll read you the first 4. Talk about it with your parent, another trusted adult. Don't hold it in and suffer in silence. It literally can really damage your self-esteem. Let it out in a healthy way by talking to people that you trust. Tell the person who's cyberbullying to stop, ignore them, block them, document, print out anything that they're sending you so you can take it to the police, the district attorney in your area, or to the school. You can also call the police if you feel that your safety is at risk. No person should be cyberbullied and not be afraid to use Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat. I am now going to show a short YouTube video of what parents can do if their children are being cyberbullied.
Texting, sharing photos, instant messaging. This is how so many of today's kids socialize. But they can also use these digital tools to threaten, gang up on, and cyberbully other kids. What you may not realize about cyberbullying is that it's not always just one bully and one victim. Often, many other kids are present too. Some stand by silently, some join in, and some may even stand up for the bully. Experts say that kids standing up for other kids is one of the single most powerful ways to stop cyberbullying. So how can you help your kids learn to be upstanders? First, teach respect. Kids' online communication is often purposely vague. Your best bet is to teach them how to text, IM, and post respectfully and responsibly. And if they say something inappropriate online, then make sure that they apologize immediately. Second, encourage empathy. Ask your kids to put themselves in another person's shoes. If they can understand what someone else is going through, then they're far less likely to bully another person or to watch quietly as others get bullied. Finally, tell them to speak up. Encourage your kids to let an adult know what's actually happening. If they don't feel comfortable confiding in you, then let them know that they can also talk to a teacher or any other trusted adult. The bottom line is to never say or never do something online or in a text message that you wouldn't say or do in person. For more tips and advice, please check out the wealth of materials about cyberbullying at our website, commonsense.org. We all need to take cyberbullying seriously. I'm Jim Steyer.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the video on what parents can do if their children are being cyberbullied. For parents out there, it also applies to caretakers, grandparents, adults that are listening. It's really important to empower your children to be upstanders and not bystanders. Fortunately, that goes on a lot, and I think that it's the kids themselves who have to rise up and stop it. That's really what that's all about.
Right.
Moving on, I want to talk about some action steps that teens and middle schools can do in their community about cyberbullying. One is they can create a public service announcement that they can show, you know, for example, here at Shrewsbury Media Connection or wherever they live. They can form their own 30-second commercial about how to stop bullying, how to be an upstander.
Good idea.
Another one is to make posters. And kids today are pretty creative with their posters with all this fancy graphic arts and Photoshop. They can go around promoting kindness and compassion and inclusion that they're currently doing in a lot of the schools in the state. I don't know about nationwide, and actually I don't know if that is resulting in decreased bullying or not. It remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Another one is to have Build a Pledge campaign that kids say that I will be kind and I'll be an upstander for cyberbullying. And then the other thing they can do is teach younger kids. Older kids, middle and high school kids can work with younger kids to stand up. Don't be afraid. Don't cower down, because like I said before, if you suffer in silence, it's going to affect your self-esteem and affect your outlook in life, where you won't have a very happy experience going to school.
Yeah.
You know. So moving along, let's talk. Paula's going to talk about human trafficking. So I pass it along to you.
Okay, so human trafficking, Robbin, and sex trafficking and child trafficking all go hand in hand, and it goes with cyberbullying, because let me just say, you know, I was one of those kids that I got bullied. And in my day, I'm not afraid to say how old I am. I'm 51. So in my day, you know, we got bullied in school, and then, you know, then you went home. Well, guess what? You know how many times I remember saying to myself, I'm going to run away. I'm going to leave school when I'm 16. I'm going to run away. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to get up and go and deal with these people anymore. I just didn't want to deal with it. So for me, listening to this, you know, I feel bad for these kids today, because there's no escape once you get home even.
Right.
Never mind run away. You know, you get home and now you've got Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and, you know, now there's, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it too, there's also apps, WhatsApp, and different things like that, that they're hiding their messages amongst each other too. That, so these apps hide things too. So they're using that. So I just can't imagine for these kids, there's like no escape. You know, for me, like I said, like you were saying, I would definitely say, yeah, try to stick up for other kids in these groups, Facebook, whatever it is, try to stick up for other kids. For me, the other part of it is just ignore it. Just don't let it get to you. And then they're gonna back down if you just leave it alone. But if you let it get to you and you're keeping it in, then I see where the health concerns, because I'm a health coach, health concerns are gonna come in, and like you say, it's gonna affect them later. So that's my take on it. The other part of cyberbullying relating to human trafficking, child trafficking, sex trafficking, you're like, how the heck does that relate? Because, like I said, I remember wanting to run away, right? So some kids say that, their homes aren't so great, or maybe they are great, but they want to get away from this.
Yep.
They may run away, especially when they start to be like 16 years old. So it's often misunderstood, teenagers and runaways between the ages of 12 to 14. This says 12 to 25 years old. Varied from socioeconomic backgrounds, often foster kids are very, usually targeted. And so how do kids run away? They run away physically, but they also run away on the internet. And guess what happens? What happens is these people that human traffic, and sometimes it's women, who knew, these people that are human trafficking and getting prey, their kids as prey, they're tracking everything these kids are doing. So if they're saying something like, I don't like this, I don't like that, or they're into games, or this person's making fun of me, or this or that, they're tracking all this. So now they're going to pretend to be Susie Q and be your friend. So, and then, next thing you know, you meet with them or whatever, and this is how it all begins. So, oh, they're not showing the slides. Okay. I think I showed the slides.
They are, but you can't see it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's like slide number 1. So slide number 2, this is some statistics on human and child trafficking. Is 55% of trafficking victims are women and children, and I said the average is, the younger ages of 12 to 14. It's a $150 billion business every year. 45 million people globally, with 2 million being children in over 167 countries. 20% are labor, 80% are exploited, which means sexual trafficking. It's the fastest growing business of organized crime and the 3rd largest in the world. Slide number 3, sex trafficking statistics. You can see it's all along the borders, where, they're coming in through water, basically. A pimp can make $150,000 to $200,000 each year and has an average of 4 to 6 girls. $9 to $5 billion annually is made human trafficking in the United States. Approximately 300,000 children are at risk of being prostituted, and 1/3 of teens on the street will be lured towards prostitution within 48 hours of leaving home. 48 hours. It's not very long.
No, very quick.
Not very long. So we need to squash these problems right away. Just some more statistics. 50% under 18. $32 billion industry. Most common form: pimp, street prostitution, escort services, brothels. Massage parlors is another one. And so this just shows some of the states it's common: New York, Texas, Nevada, California. Atlanta is coming up behind that. It's not on here, but I've been hearing about Atlanta quite a bit.
Which one is it?
Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
Yeah.
In Nevada, prostitution is legal over 18.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so slide number 5, child sex trafficking. This says 1 in 6. I have seen something even updated that it's 1 in 7 of 18,500 runaways reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. This was 2016. We're in 2019, so now it's 7 were likely sex trafficking victims. 86% of these likely sex trafficking victims were in the care of social services or foster care, like we talked about. Okay, so does it happen in my state? Absolutely, yes. You know, I've been seeing on the internet that there's this post going around that somebody was almost trafficked in, I think it was the Boston area, but now somebody else posted that it happened in Northborough. I've been seeing it happening in the Millbury Mall area where kids are just, now it's not even kids that just want to run away. They're just taking your kids. So be very, very vigilant when you're shopping and things like that. Or if you're letting your kids be by themselves, make sure they're with other kids at all times. 73% of all victims of trafficking in the USA were sold on the internet sites, and this is an old one, as Backpage and Craigslist. They shut down Backpage, but they call it the dark web. There's all these like websites that kids go to, and again, this is what I'm talking about. They lure them in on the social media sites and promise them gifts and better jobs and things. I know back in the day, I remember I wanted to be a model, and we used to put things on, you know, we did it in snail mail to be a model.
Right.
But that was another way they did human trafficking. We just weren't aware of that.
Or
Now
not
it's
naive.
updated.
People were naive back then.
Yeah, we weren't aware. So we are on slide number 7. Stop human trafficking. It's the second crime on the planet, fastest growing. 2+ children are forced into slavery every minute. Some human trafficking is just child labor. They force kids to work on farms and things like that. Every age for sex trafficking, again, 12 to 14. Average price, who knew this? $90 a victim, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's gone up. Okay. Imagine this one, slide number 8. If human trafficking were a company, it would be at the top of the Fortune 500 list. Can you imagine? It's big business, and there's a lot of higher ups that are involved in this, and that's why President Trump is doing so much to limit it. I'm not going to say stop it, but he's passed many, many laws and many bills in the past couple years. Look them up online because he's really doing a lot. He's building the wall. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but he's just trying to limit it. He's trying to limit the drugs coming in, the murders, and the trafficking. It's not to say it's going to stop, but I get why he's doing it. And I know there's people out there that don't agree. And again, this has to do with that. Slide number 9. Human trafficking makes more money than Google, Starbucks, Nike, and the NFL combined.
And they don't pay taxes.
Right? Yeah.
So
You wonder why it's going on, and this is why the president is trying to do what he can to stop it. He's exposing it tremendously. It's something that all of a sudden I feel called to. I'm very intuitive, so I've been getting visions of it. So I've started, designing some T-shirts. I'm wearing one today. Break every chain, stop human trafficking. And so I'm just trying to help raise awareness with it. But it's $150 billion a year, and Google makes $136.6 billion a year. That was in 2015. Okay?
I can imagine what it is now.
Right. Slide number 10, what it's not. It's not just girls chained to a bed. Some of them walk freely but are coerced into sex exploitation, and what we're talking about, dreams of a better life, a better job.
Yep.
Somebody, a boyfriend even, could be very coercive. Or even a woman. Some women do this, and they coerce them into thinking they're friends. They're tied into debt bondage, so now they tell them they owe them something because they did something for them, and then that's where the sex comes in. Prostitution's their only option. Slide number 11. Again, this is just some of what we've talked about, just so you can see it for yourselves. Boyfriending, too good to be true, social media, and social events.
But it's not just heterosexual. I mean, there's been things of gay and lesbian too.
Yes,
over
they
time.
do target the gay lesbian community, people with disabilities, because they're behind a computer. That's the cyber part of it.
Right.
They're behind a computer. They don't get out. They're hiding. Here's some warning signs. If you see something like this, these are the warning signs. Avoids eye contact, talking, social interaction, appears to have few or no personal possessions, is not allowed to speak to him for him or herself, just visiting and can't say where she is staying, looks malnourished, signs of physical abuse, is not in control of his or her money or identification, is fearful or anxious, especially around law enforcement, has numerous inconsistencies in his or her story. Here's another one that I thought was interesting. Now, I saw this for this year. The Super Bowl has the largest human trafficking incident in the United States. Now, there are 169 arrests in the Super Bowl this year, okay? If you look this up online, I don't have time to give you statistics of every single one, but there are some online from 2011, 2016 of the arrests they've had of sex trafficking at the Super Bowl. It's another way to lure the kids in. Just keep that in mind. Here's another good one. We're on slide 14. Sneaky teen texting codes. So I thought this would be very helpful for you out there to see the different codes they use. Now, just kids amongst each other is one thing, but imagine somebody that wants to lure in a kid for sex trafficking, okay? You know, like ASL, age, sex, location. I used to think ASL was American Sign Language, okay? GNOC, get naked on camera. So CD9, code 9, parents around. I mean, I'm not going to read all of them. You guys can see them on there. But this was a great, Pico was where I got that from. So just to keep that in mind of all these different codes.
There's a new idioms.
Yeah.
Remember the idioms?
Yeah. I mean, hack, HAK, hugs and kisses. So keep an eye on your kids' phones, you know. We're on slide 15. Human trafficking has a project called the Polaris Project. This is the National Trafficking Hotline, National Human Trafficking Hotline. And all you have to do is text Be Free. So anybody out there right now, if you know somebody that needs help, or if you yourself needs help, just text Be Free or call this number that's on this slide, and they'll be able to help you. The Polaris Project has had several success stories of helping people with their national hotline. So that's the Human Trafficking Hotline. Be Free. Just, I mean, you can't forget that, right?
Is bit large caps?
What's that?
It's Be Free, it's on all large caps?
All caps.
Okay.
Yep. TraffickingResourceCenter.org is the website for that, and the Polaris Project as well. POLARIS Project. They have a hotline too. So that's something, watch people that are house workers, things like that. Another thing to be aware of is Uber and Lyft. I drove for them myself. Don't be putting your kids in the car by themselves. They are using Uber and Lyft to do human trafficking.
Really?
Yes. There are some studies showing that it's happening. They do background checks, but that doesn't mean anything. They call each other up. Is the girl alone? And then, you can imagine what happens after that. So don't be using Uber and Lyft for your kids. It's not a good idea. If you're going to, let them have somebody with them. I was a safe driver, but it doesn't mean everybody else out there is. The thing that happened in Boston, they were saying it was related to Uber. Unfortunately, trying to squash it, saying it didn't happen that way, you decide on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have, put it that way, and can still be. There are some things saying that. So be careful of Uber and Lyft. Another thing I wanted to mention, it's not on a slide, IBM has even started a banking program where they're tracking money to help with human trafficking. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that. And then human trafficking arrest, slide number 16, this is my last slide. You can see from 2010 up to 2018 how much it's growing and what a big business it is. So, they've had 10,320 children saved in 2018. No, 4,119 children saved in 2018. So it's just incredible how much it's growing. It's making a lot of money, and it's happening quite often, but the internet is definitely a huge problem. like I said, kids are vulnerable, adults are vulnerable, you're feeling sad and lonely and somebody pretends to be your friend, you tend to want to trust them. So that's what I have on human trafficking and how it has to do with cyberbullying, and how it can really escalate into something like this. So really watch out. There are some of the other apps I was reading about was called Tango. I don't know if it still exists, but WhatsApp, Snapchat, they go into these hidden apps, the kids do, and then that's how the traffickers lure them. So just watch out what apps are on your kids' phones. But like I said, be careful of things like Uber and Lyft. Don't be putting your kids in those vehicles without someone else. It's not a good idea. Let them do like we did in the old days. Take a bus. At least you're around other people. Even that's not foolproof. Somebody could snatch you on a bus. But
they have cameras though.
Yeah. So just some thoughts there. I don't know how much time we have left.
We have about 2 minutes left.
2 minutes. So
I think I think this is timely.
Yeah.
Based on what's going on with Trump and the immigration issue.
Yes.
And as we talked about prior to the show, it's nothing new. It's been going on since day one, since humans inhabited the earth.
Right.
So I think there's just more awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness about it.
Yeah, and just to add to the T-shirts, a portion of the proceeds is going to go to either a local organization here like Lift Worcester or the Polaris Project. So if anybody's interested, follow my Facebook page, Paula Denoncourt, PaulaDenoncourt, or Instagram, same name. You can follow those 2 pages and find all my designs, and then I'm going to give some of the proceeds to those organizations, just to add to that.
Well, it's a good cause. I know as a mom too, I have to train my son how to be appropriate on social media because we're old school.
Right.
And even when he's on his Nintendo or his Navi, we'll say, okay, what are you watching? What's on it? We really monitor him really carefully. Again, when you're at home, it's parental supervision and giving a hoot.
And I think another thing you can encourage your kids too is, later on in life, guess what? When you're going to look for a job, they pull up all that stuff. So another way to encourage your kids to be nice
That's right.
is the fact that could come back to bite them later on.
That's right, because they know everything.
They pull up all that stuff. Now they're even pulling up credit reports. So, if you're doing all this bullying, that they may not hire you because they saw that. Doesn't mean you're going to be like that by the time you get a job, but doesn't matter. It's still a mark on you.
For more information, you could do www.cyberbullying.org, and obviously you saw the slides that you gave. This has been another episode with MillerChat. My guest today was Paula Denoncourt. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for having me.